Welcome back to the Business Owner Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Pete Mohr. And if you've been feeling a little bit more like an operator than an owner of your business, then this podcast is really for you. We're going to dig into today's subject, and it's all around critical thinking. And it comes from its roots in healthcare. And at least as far as I can trace it, it goes back to Dr. Rolf William Bailey and in the healthcare industry where they're dealing with critical incidents all the time. But if we overlay this onto our businesses as business owners, we talk about a lot. Our businesses and our lives are sort of combined like yin and yang. And whether these critical things are happening in our lives that may affect our business or whether they're happening in our business that may affect our lives, it's all around how you're thinking about it and what you're going to do about it. And this framework, which is really nice and simple, which is why I love it. When something happens, when something lands on you like a bomb, and it wasn't that very long ago when we had to deal with a lot of the stuff around COVID. I've had in my previous business experiences a general manager leave a week before we were going on a family vacation. I mean, we've had just so many different things. I had one of my employees flip over one of our service vehicles on the road, and we had to deal with that and deal with his health and deal with all the sort of other things that were going on there. We've had a variety of different things. More recently, I had one of our key individuals at Shoetopia, our shoe stores, leave. He's been with me for about 8 or 9 years, left on great terms and all of that stuff. But ultimately, he was one of the top 3 people in the organization. And that has a big implication. So if we look at these things that land upon us unexpectedly in most cases, how are we dealing with it? Are we, getting paralyzed by these sort of things, or do we have frameworks that help us roll through and make actionable steps? And that's why I love this particular framework that we're going to roll through a little bit here today. And when you think of it, just name it, name whatever has just happened. And if we go back to when my first general manager left, it's like, okay, George is leaving. And that even just saying it out loud lets you start putting things together and acknowledging that things are happening the way they happen. And I like to look at this as, is it controllable or is it uncontrollable? And if somebody's made up their mind, or let's say your landlord has elected to tear down the building that you're in, you are going to have to move. It's sort of out of your control. The decision has been made. So you need to make actionable steps to move ahead along the way. So the first thing is just understanding whether or not whatever's just happened is within your control or whether it's outside of your control. And the next thing is to really dig down into whatever data you can get on this so that you can start to make the decisions that you're going to need to make. Because the first part is what just happened here. Second part is, so what? And the so what, you need to gather as much information as you possibly can gather so that you can make the decisions on what's going to happen here. What are the implications? And if we overlay the 5P framework, which I know any listeners here are familiar with, your promise, your product, your process, your people, and your profit. If it's something that's happening in business, think about all 5 of those. What are the ramifications on this particular incident on your promise? Is it going to change the way you do business? Is it going to change your product or your service offering? Is it going to change the process that you currently use in your business to deliver your services? Is it going to change the people? When we look at the people, we think about our ideal client, we think about our teammates, and we think about all of the other outsourced suppliers that help deliver our promise, right? And then, is it going to change our profit? Because all of those pieces are so important in the critical decision making that you're going to do in the then what portion, right? So this is so what. How is it going to affect both good and bad? Because sometimes there's good ramifications. And I'll use one more recently where one of the people that I'm on a call with every couple of weeks as sort of a moderator and coach, she just had a ferry that comes to their town closed down for an extended period of time, which was, had really big effects on the entire small town in the fact that there were so many people coming over on the ferry every day. But one of the good things that came of that is she was able to hire 2 of the people to come work in her business that were outstanding on the ferry and outstanding and will be outstanding in her business going forth. And she was able to capitalize on something that, off the bat looked like it was going to be pretty bad for the business. So what are the good things? What are the bad things? That's sort of the so what side of things, right? The idea here is that we don't just recognize the situation, we need to evaluate its impact and what are the costs and what are the benefits to you, both in your business and in your life. And business and life blend together, right? Then what is the actionable steps? So now that we know what the issue is, we've gone through the so what, the ups and downs of everything here. Now it's around then what? It's really the game changer of the whole situation. What are you going to do about it? Lay out the action plans. And this is where another one of the frameworks that I've talked about a lot comes into play, and it's the CPA, right? How are you communicating? What are the processes that you are going to change and drive around this? And who is going to be accountable for whatever happens as we deal with this particular situation? So think about, how am I going to communicate what I want as the business owner to happen based on what we know now, based on the so whats? Think about what you need to change on the process management side of things in order to enable and make this stuff happen. And think about who is going to be the person that's now in charge. And I'll reframe that back into the current leaving of one of our managers within Shootopia. What happened here is that we talked right off the bat, literally within minutes of getting that notification with the rest of the team, communicated throughout what was happening. We looked at our accountability chart. We went through how this particular job can be divvied up, at least in the short term, until we make further term plans. And then we set an aligned accountability within our team as to who was going to take over those jobs. We looked at the time frame of how long we had with that particular person. We wanted to clear up some of the process and make sure that everybody knew how the work that he had been doing would be cross-trained, would be documented with videos, with documentation, with all sorts of different things, so that we could cross-train and work through any of the issues that we didn't already have cross-trained. And then we aligned and assigned accountability, the 4 A's, right? We assess it, we address it, we align it, and we assign it. And I can't tell you how nice and smooth that process was. And this is years in, mind you. You know, when that first general manager of one of my early businesses left, it was a problem. Let me tell you, it was not fun. But this last one was a lot easier to maintain and manage. And quite honestly, I wasn't really even hands-on with it. And I'm so proud of some of the things that we have set up in our business in order to deal with this sort of thing. And what I want for anybody listening to this podcast is that same sort of thing. When you set up your CPA, when you set up your 5 Ps, when you think about critical thinking in a quick way and are able to assess and address things without being stalled, it changes the parameters of how things continue on for you. It lightens your load. It lessens aggravation. It lessens overwhelm. And we talk a lot here about turning your frustrations into freedoms. And nothing's ever perfect around this, but using some critical thinking tools and some steps like what, so what, and then what. What just happened here? So what? How is it going to affect me? Then what? What action steps are we going to take to move the ball here down the road so that we can get back to where we need to get? That's the goal. That's your job as the business owner, to work through these things, communicate them properly to everybody that needs to know so that you can continue on in a healthy way, right? All right, folks, grasping the what, so what, then what concept can be your ticket from being swamped in the details to steering with the dashboard. We talked about details to dashboard in the past as well. If you need help aligning your business, your goals, your actions, getting some frameworks like this that are going to help you make the decisions that you need to make on a daily basis, then simply reach out to me at speaktopete.com, speaktopete.com, and we'll see if we're a right fit for carrying on some crucial conversations, just me and you, one-on-one, as we roll through to create a better life for you through your business and as you move from operator to owner of your business. Would love to have a chat. So that's it for today's Business Owner Breakthrough podcast. I'm Pete Mohr, and keep pushing those boundaries and breaking through those barriers. Now go and make it a great day.